And now I'm recording.
Excellent. Good evening and welcome, folks, to tonight's webinar training class. I am your host for tonight, Rex Lang, the marketing chair for Central Indiana Real Estate Investors Association. Tonight, I have the great pleasure of interviewing Andy Heller. Andy Heller has kind of a unique story as to how he got involved in real estate investing, and that neither he nor his partner, Scott Frank, ever intended to become full-time real estate investors. And as they were working along, and they were both involved in very successful non-real estate careers, they both came together and connected while still putting their families first, and have bought, rented, and sold approximately 100 homes. And this is using just 2 to 5 hours a week of time. So Andy is coming to Indianapolis on Saturday, April the 27th, for a full day event. And you will see there's a link here on the screen where you're going to be able to go and register for that. But I want to give you an idea of what the link is for. It's to register for the full day event that Andy's coming to teach us about. So Andy, I've told everyone a little bit about us. Why don't you go ahead and give us a little more background on you and how you got started?
Sure. So basically, like so many people, I had a normal job, JOB, and my job just was kind of frustrating. I didn't like it that much, and I didn't see it as a means to. I saw myself being unable to achieve the type of life I would like by just simply tooling away at my job. And I was attracted to real estate for a very basic reason. I did not have a lot of money, Rex, and real estate appeared to be, to me, and still is today, the only investment opportunity where you could basically take a smaller amount of money, $4,000 or $5,000, whether either your money or somebody else's private funds, leveraged properly, buy an asset of significantly greater value. And for that reason, I was attracted to real estate, and that became really the means that I selected to really build some wealth for me and eventually for the family that I was going to have, but did not know 23 years ago. And there's lots of different ways to make money in real estate, and some of them, find that you have to, call in people about to lose their homes and stuff like that. And I really had no interest in that. And we kind of fell into something by accident that not only became quite lucrative, but is such an awesome way to buy property because it's a very good fit for people who have jobs or commitments with children or other things. And you can work it into any other commitments you have in your life. And we started buying properties not from distressed homeowners, not by chasing bandit signs or doing any of the other low probability methods, but we basically started approaching smaller banks and approaching them right after they took the properties back. And our basically we in short, Rex, we went to them and we said, look, will give us a reasonable discount, and we will take these properties off your hands. You have to worry about listing them with an agent. You have to worry about any future depreciation, fix-up costs. Just give us a reasonable, fair return for our time, and we'll call it a day. And while that sounds kind of simplified, everybody, that's pretty much what we did. And the truth of the matter is, it doesn't work every time. No method does, but it worked a lot. And what we found that was really exciting about this is that once you bought your first property from a bank, you're now on their radar. And they know who you are, they know what you buy, they know how you operate. And we found ourselves doing second, third, fifth, sixth properties from the same sources. And we just stuck with it while so many of our colleagues and other people started really chasing those deals where they really had very low chance of buying them. So our method of acquisition became buying bank-owned properties directly from the banks. And I tell people and told them to this day, the reason why is nothing more complicated than the fact we have found it to be and still find it to be the easiest way we know to consistently acquire property below market and get some nice returns with pretty much as little effort as possible. And now, you can't approach these larger banks. You're not going to be successful with that. They don't really have a mechanism to dealing with the small investor. So, but what we learned, Rex, is these larger banks, like Bank of America, Chase Manhattan, Wells Fargo, these banks are all creatures of habit. They establish patterns, and they just repeat that over and over again in every element of the banking world. And what we found with respect to foreclosures, these banks would identify one or two what we call have come to label REO agents, real estate agents, where most of their listings come from banks, and they would give the larger banks would give the listings to these agents. And I'm not talking about going on the MLS and or open up the phone book and calling 25,000 agents in central Indiana. No. What I'm saying is, we find that in every metropolitan community, a 20, 25 real estate agents dominate almost the entire market for the foreclosures from the larger banks. And we have identified how to reach out and identify them, how to approach them, how to differentiate yourself from other investors and build a relationship that can really set you apart. So that has pretty much become our way to buy. So on the acquisition end, Rex, we don't deal with distressed homeowners or foreclosure sales, bandit signs, direct mail. I mean, it's all, honestly, it's just too much work. We go into the community, we identify a handful of these banks and real estate agents. We approach them, we got these scripts for how to do it. We'll talk about that in the workshop. Doesn't work every time, but does the need to. And what you're really looking for is to establish yourself as one of the 2 or 3 real estate investors that the bank will call when they're looking to move a property on a quick sale. And that's become our niche, and that's become what we teach around the country. Now, what we could not have predicted as an educator now is that the market has shifted, and our way to buy has gone from being a nice, comfortable, great niche to the dominant way to acquire property below market in this economy. And I just give you statistics that I'll talk a lot more about when I come to Indiana, and that is when we started doing this about now it's 23 years ago, in a very different economy than we're in today. 1 to 1.5% of all real estate transactions were bank-owned property, and that is frankly kind of normal. That's what it should be. Last year, that number was 11%. 11% of all real estate sold in this country last year were bank-owned properties. So my nice little niche has become the most dominant way to acquire property below market for investors. And that's what I teach on the buying end. Now, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, that's just, I'm just sitting here and just soaking this up, and I'm thinking, for everyone who is thinking that there are no deals out there, or there's no good way to buy property, go to this link that we've got posted up here and register right now. Because for the short time that I'm going to talk to Andy today, we are having a full day event on Saturday, April 27th. You can come out and join us. Go to this link. So please, because I know, Andy, if you have a system that is this good on the buying side, I can't wait to hear how you sell these properties.
Oh, that's even better. So I often say to people, it's one of those really interesting jokes, but it's kind of not a joke. We are so successful with our real estate in large part because we were such absolute failures at what we initially set out to do. So we went to one of those crazy seminars, Rex, about how to become an investor and buy property from distressed sellers. Well, I hated that. I went to see some of these families, and you can make some money, people, but I'll tell you, very, very few people that I've met in my life had the emotional makeup necessary to deal with people involved in a downward spiral like that over and over again. And I realized pretty quickly in my real estate career, I wasn't one of those people. So, but in doing that, we were subscribing to these lists of properties in pre-foreclosure. So what I'm going to talk a lot about in the seminar is how to use what are pre-foreclosure lists of properties going through the pre-foreclosure process that investors who buy primarily pre-foreclosures to use these same lists to get a jump on REOs. So you can call these banks before they begin marketing the properties with a real estate agent. See, there's a window of time after the foreclosure sale before property pops up on MLS Rec. That window is approximately, in most states today, between 3 and as long as 6 or 7 months. What we basically teach you all how to do is how to use that window in time to approach the banks and make them a reasonable offer before they begin preparing that property to market it with MLS. Because you're not going to be able to, we're not going to teach you how to go to a bank and convince them to stop their marketing process because you want to buy a foreclosure. No, nobody's going to be successful without everybody. We're going to teach you how to approach the bank and present yourself in such a way that the bank will look at you as a reasonable alternative to marketing the property on MLS. Not a replacement, but a reasonable alternative. So they look at you and say, Rex, I might want to consider that. So that sounds like a reasonable option. And if we're not successful or I decide not to accept your offer, I'm just going to go and market the property as I'm normally going to do anyhow. So that's the key to what we do. There's a misconception. Well, how are you going to convince the bank to change their mind about what they're going to do? We're not. We're just going to, what you want to be able to do is convince the bank that you represent a reasonable alternative to marketing the property on during their traditional way. So we went out to try to buy these pre-foreclosures, but we were subscribing to these list recs. And these lists gave us the information we needed to approach the banks right after the foreclosure sale before any other real estate agents or other investors knew about the property. And that's been what we've been doing for about 23 years. That's what my students do all over the country, and that's what we're going to spend a lot of time learning how to do on the Saturday workshop. Now, once purchased, we're going to cover how to both flip the property and when an immediate buyer doesn't come walking into that property conveniently, how to roll the property onto a lease option and make great money in the long haul. So that's pretty much what we're going to be covering. Some of you wholesalers out there who may have heard you can't buy properties from banks, how would you like to find out that's 100% wrong? Not only can you buy properties from banks, but I'm going to show you why you should be focusing on bank-owned property. All these things we'll cover in the Saturday workshop. Right?
Wow, that just sounds tremendous, Andy. And I know that your system, your complete system, as I understand it, Fortune Magazine recommended your system as one of the best ways to buy and sell property. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, this is a real great honor, and I've taught in Central Indiana before. I think I came to your great RIA about 4 years ago, and I was so wonderfully received. And one of the things that I'm able to do that a lot of these other national guys are not able to do is to go up and say, look, we're going to focus on education, and I don't need to. I'm able to do that in large part because my method of investing was actually featured and recommended by Fortune Magazine. And this happened in the middle of the last decade. We got a phone call from our book publisher and said, Fortune Magazine wants to interview you. And she said, okay, well, that sounds quite interesting. So we set up a time for the interview, and we're just a couple part-time investors in Atlanta, Georgia, Rex. And long story short, about 2 months after that interview, our method of investing was profiled and featured in an issue in Fortune Magazine. And that's what led us to become speakers around the country. Our story is very different than a lot of these other gurus. It was kind of an afterthought. We got phone calls from these RIAs all around the country saying, hey, we just saw where your method of investment was recommended by Fortune Magazine. Would you mind coming and teaching at our real estate group? And we just started to do that, and I didn't even know a lot about how the Speakin network is all set up with these RIAs and everything, but it's been just a phenomenally wonderful opportunity for us to come out and to teach. You know, we've got our sources all set up. People ask all the time, Landy, why would you teach? Why would you teach in Atlanta, where your home market? Like, I don't care. I mean, that's the beauty about bank-owned property is I've got my sources all taken care of for the next 20 years. I can buy as many properties as I want. Pretty much, I'm at a point where I get on my wife's nerves. She says, go out and buy a property. So, you know, and that's being in that position is strictly a function of the way we've chosen to invest. So I don't mind teaching. I don't mind sharing what we've learned and what's helped make us successful. And hopefully we can have a great and positive impact on a number of other people in the process.
Wow, that is just phenomenal. Folks, again, Saturday, April the 27th, all day. You're going to get all day with Andy to soak up and learn these techniques that he's been talking about, that he's put together in a complete system. And I say system because all the pieces work together, to help you go start to finish in identifying and purchasing properties, so what you're going to do with them once you've got them. So this is a phenomenal opportunity. It's going to be at the Fountains in Carmel. We will be serving lunch, and it's $27 each person for the event. And I think if I twist Andy's arm, maybe he'll even throw in a book. Is that right, Andy? Do we have a book that we might be able to add to this?
I'd be happy to do that. Yeah, I've got Rex knows we were talking about this the other day. I've got a book that sometimes we offer this to the groups just kind of to get you all excited about it, and so you put it on your schedule and you come out and well, here's my deal. You come to the workshop, you stay the full day, 5 o'clock. You get what you can have our one of our best selling books for free, buy even lower. And when it came out, it was rated by the late real estate critic Robert Bruss as one of the top 3 books of the year it came out, and that also is a very nice recognition. We're kind of proud of that also. So we'll give you that for free just for coming out and learning about real estate for the day.
Fantastic. Well, Andy, I know that we are getting close to our time here, and I just wanted to find out if you had any other parting words for the crowd here in Indianapolis, because I know we are going to have a ton of people that come out on Saturday, April the 27th to come and see you, 9 to 5 at the Fountains. There's a link here on the screen that you can go to and register, and like I said, $27 for the whole day. And we just are so excited about this event. We are really, really looking forward. I know last time you were here, we had a great turnout, and I am just looking so forward to this.
Well, in terms of parting thoughts, I would say this to everybody. There's something special happening on in our, I believe passionately, that there's something very special happening right now in today's real estate market. I believe what we're seeing is a generationally defining moment where our kids and our grandkids will be talking about 2013, maybe 2014. Also, when you could buy real estate for pennies on the dollar, and a lot of these people bought properties directly from some of these banks, and we're never going to see a real estate market like this in the future. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Most of us in our backyard, we see investors from all over the country, all over the world, coming in and buying our real estate. Well, they don't know anything that you guys don't know. They don't have any gifted insight, but they know that this real estate is available right now in the United States, bought properly, is going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more in the near future. So this is a time right now. I often say to people, it's not a good thing about being a real estate investor. It's a time to get out and do it and become a real estate investor. Don't be spending your time thinking about it. I can't do anything to help you out if you don't come to the workshop and let me teach you. So come, let us teach you. There's one more thing I'll mention, and that is there's an estimated 3 properties, Rex. They call this shadow inventory. Some of your more seasoned investors may have heard about this. Shadow inventory is kind of a nickname given to the more than 3 million properties that banks are holding on to today, where the homeowner is at least 90 days behind in their mortgage. Now, why is that important? That's important because some parts of the country right now, we're seeing a bit of a real estate uptick. And to be perfectly frank, kind of hope that continues for the sake of our country. But there's some very, very dangerous signs. And whether it continues or not, right now, you are finding tremendous numbers of REOs. And you are finding, we know that there's 3 million properties that are a part of the shadow inventory that are going to come on the market at some point in the near future. And you want to be ready for that. You want to have your systems in place. You want to have your contacts set up with these banks and REO agents. So we're going to spend a lot of time learning exactly how to do that. Because as I said earlier, this is a rare opportunity, people. This real estate has never been this cheap in this country. And many feel it's never going to happen again. So come learn. Let's learn a lot about what's happening in this market, how to approach these banks, how to do so if you're a wholesaler, how to do so if you're not. And I think you'll find the workshop tremendously inspiring, interesting, and you'll learn something that most of other people, investors in this market, they're just not going to know how to do this.
Absolutely, I completely concur. And Andy, I just want to thank you so much. Again, folks, I want to remind you, April the 27th. Sign up now. The link is on your screen all day. If for any reason you are still on the fence, which I couldn't imagine why you would be after finding out this information, one inside tip for remaining with us till the end of this interview, Andy is actually going to make a special trip to Indianapolis on the 11th. If you want to come meet him, if you're on the fence, if you're not sure, take the action like Andy said. Right here at the end, I took note especially of what Andy said about taking the actions that are going to put you in the position to make you successful. If you can't commit to that Saturday yet because you just have a thought in the back of your mind, come out on April the 11th, 7 to 9 o'clock at the fountain. Andy will be there. Meet him, shake his hand, hear what he has to say. I guarantee you, after you talk with him, you will have no doubts about wanting to spend all day with him. But if you just know, because you know that you're going to go to that event, sign up right now. April the 27th, all day Saturday. Like I said, your lunch is provided, so you don't even have to leave the venue. You'll be able to spend all day there learning, networking, but most of all, you'll have the opportunity to see this great system that Andy's talked about, be able to obtain it and put it into place into your business. So, Andy, once again, I thank you so much for being with us today. I look so forward to seeing you next week. And to everyone else here today, thank you for joining us for the interview. And we look forward to seeing you at Andy's event on the 27th. Thank you so much, all.
Rex,